Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
Taking you behind the curtain, it's the Joan Hamburg Show. Talk Radio 77 WABC.
Take Me Out, which is the Tony Award-winning show written by Richard Greenberg, has come back to the Helen Hayes Theater. I don't know if it was there. I forget where I first saw it. But it's at the Helen Hayes now on West 44th Street. And among the stars is Jesse Tyler Ferguson. And I have to tell you, I saw the show the other day, and I had seen it years ago. And this show, which centers around a baseball star, a mixed race superstar who comes out as gay and is suddenly dealing with things he never thought he'd have to deal with because he's playing baseball and he's great at it, about homophobia, racial prejudice. This show is as relevant now as it was when I saw it. I forget, I think it was 2002. And it was a huge hit everywhere, and now a big hit back on Broadway. And Jesse Tyler Ferguson, who you know from all his Broadway work and from Modern Family, where he reigned for 11 years, he has a wonderful pivotal role in this. He plays the financial manager who is also gay to this big baseball team. And this show took some time, like a lot of major Broadway scheduled openings. The pandemic came up and they had to wait. And in your case, Jesse, it was, 2 years? A lot happened to you in that 2-year period.
That's right. Yeah, 2 years. We were supposed to premiere this in 2020. And we were in our second week of rehearsal when everything shut down. So we had started on the work, but we hadn't gotten to the point of actually getting onto the stage yet. But at that time, I was, expecting to be a father for the first time. My son was going to be born in July. And so, I was able to focus on that. And now I have a toddler, and here I am doing Take Me Out on Broadway, and, with a little less energy than I would have back in 2020, because now I'm a dad and running around after a toddler.
Certainly no sleep. I mean, that takes a really long time, but an exciting time, too. And such a different experience, even though you've done a lot of Broadway, from being in a major comedy or a big TV show, Modern Family, for 11 years. Yes. I mean, it's a great luxury and something that doesn't happen a lot to actors, that we actually get steady work for a long time. And it felt like I had a real job. Like my mom was a nurse and my dad was a microbiologist. And I was like, oh, I'm just like my parents. I go to work every day. I do the same thing, and it's great. And then the reality of what it actually is to be an actor came with that show ending. And of course, then everything shut down for 2 years. So at least I didn't have any sort of fear of missing out on anything. We were all sort of in the same boat. But I'm so happy to be doing what I love doing again. I love being an actor, and I certainly love theater. I mean, it's my first love. It's, as you said, Joan, I mean, that's how I started my career. And, TV was this sort of happy accident that happened to me. And I was thrilled that I got to do something so meaningful and resonant for so long. But I can't tell you how exciting it is for me to be back on a New York stage with this play particularly. And it's a play that I also saw back in 2002 when it first premiered at the Public Theater. And then I saw it again when it transferred to Broadway. And it's deeply meaningful to me. And one of the reasons I saw it 3 times, and one of the reasons I saw it 3 times was because of the performance that Dennis O'Hare gave in the role of Mason Marzak. I just thought it was revolutionary. And
I had never seen acting like that on stage before, and with such beautiful language. I just loved the play itself as well, and I thought it was beautifully directed. And so it was a play that really struck a chord with me. And I'm not a baseball fan, so it was, it kind of took me by surprise.
But your character,
yes.
who is not, obviously, he's the money manager, he's not a baseball guy, and all of a sudden we grow with him and his obsession with baseball. And I'm telling you, Jesse, I'm not going to look at baseball the same way. For some reason, this version of the show, I don't know why it affected me so much, but it did. And I did see it the first time, maybe 2 times at downtown and then when it came to Broadway. But there was something about this that resonates with almost all of us. And it's very,
we're all at a
very
different
special.
time. Yeah. We're in a different time 20 years later. And, it's a play that when Richard Greenberg wrote it, he thought it needed to go on stage quickly because it was only a matter of time before a major league baseball player would come out of the closet. And here we are 20 years later, and that hasn't happened. And there are these, lines in the play about democracy and, baseball is better than democracy because unlike democracy, baseball acknowledges loss. And here we are, on the heels of a president who refused to leave office. It's like there are lines in the play that people assume we wrote for the times we're in now, and they're not written for today. They're words that were written 20 years ago, and it does resonate in a much different way. And I think time away from any piece of art makes you reflect on it. I mean, I realized I had been reflecting on this play for 20 years. So when I read it again, I looked at it with different eyes. And that's a great thing about, being able to revisit great work.
You know what else? Because I've been trying to see as much as I can see, because none of us could do anything for all those years. The audience is different. The audience, and it's only from seeing 3 or 4 shows so far, the audience is so eager to embrace this experience, your show and other shows. It's like they're so grateful to be there. The house gets so quiet. The anticipation is so large. And at the end of the show, especially if you see it on a matinee day, they get up, they want to make their buses, trains, whatever. No one got up. They were like, I just have to absorb this another minute. And it's special.
Right.
And especially with you guys waiting 2 years, none of us knowing what was going to happen. Yeah. We all thought maybe a few weeks, the most. Right.
Well, I think it's one of those things that, when something's taken away from you, you realize that you've taken it for granted. And, it's the fact that we get to come back and we get to celebrate live theater together again under different circumstances. Everyone's masked and, we're having to show vaccination records before getting to the theater. But I think the audiences that are showing up, that are leaving their house and coming in, are so grateful to be there. And we definitely feel that.
No, without question. And you guys waited a long time for this and got this wonderful part. I had no clue that you were. I remember you wrote a cookbook called, what was it? It was Food Between Friends. Was that the name of the cookbook?
That's right.
That you did a while ago. I never knew you were such a foodie. Was that from growing up? Well, where did all this come from?
Well, my mom, would cook for me, but she, she was a working mother who, made meals for her family, as many working parents do. It was after I moved to Los Angeles, and with, that move, I was able to inherit a little bit more space. You get more real estate for your money in Los Angeles. And I had a larger kitchen. And my kitchens in New York were always the size of a postage stamp.
All of us.
I never really, exactly. I never cooked in New York. And so once I was in LA, it's a hobby I started. And, I wanted to actually go to culinary school, but, the schedule of Modern Family didn't allow for that. So it's something that I sort of taught myself how to do. And I'm a cookbook collector. And one of my very close friends went to culinary school and would cook with me and sort of teach me certain, techniques that she learned, and we just started developing recipes together, and that's what the cookbook ended up stemming from. But it was also a project that we got to finish in the pandemic, which was a nice thing to focus on. We weren't able to necessarily gather in person to finish working on the cookbook. We did a lot of things over Zoom and, over phone calls and text messages, but it was a nice project to sort of focus on and, pour my creative energy into. I'm really proud of it. It's a really great book, if you ask me.
No, I think it's fantastic. And is your husband a foodie too, like you?
Yes, he's a foodie, but he does not cook.
He's an eater.
He's an eater, Joan. He doesn't even do the dishes.
No. Well, he's smart. His mother probably told him, if you start doing them, that's it.
Yeah,
I know my mom.
Well, he never started, so.
Never. Right. My mom used to tell me that about ironing. She said, I could teach you to iron. The problem is once you start, you're stuck.
Yeah.
You're going to be ironing forever.
Smart advice.
And that's like food. Is he an actor?
No. He's actually a producer. Well, he's a lawyer, and then he works with a lot of nonprofits. He worked on the Proposition Marriage Equality case. He's done so many wonderful things. But recently, he's actually won 2 Tony Awards in the past few years as being a producer of the Oklahoma revival and then also The Inheritance. And this past season, he helped bring Dana H. and Is This a Room to Broadway, which I'm so proud of. Those are 2 plays that I greatly admired and, really pushed the boundaries of what theater can be. So we are producing a documentary about Broadway's return after COVID right now. So that's something that we're in the final stages of editing. So hopefully that will be something that we can all see soon. So, he's got his hand in a lot of pots.
That's a great idea. And did I read that even when you were 8 years old, you knew you wanted to be in theater and got involved with a kids group, or was that?
Yeah, I can't remember a time when I remember seeing a play, and my mom took me to go see a children's theater production of Alice in Wonderland or something, and I remember sitting in the audience thinking, I want to be on stage. I don't want to be watching this. I want to be on stage. And I told my mom that, and I was a very quiet kid. I was an introvert. I was an indoor kid. I was shy. So my mom was shocked that this was something that I wanted to do. And I think she, was encouraged that I wanted to do it. And so I joined the Albuquerque Children's Theater and, did plays with them for, 5 or 6 years. And it was, it was my favorite thing to do. It was, I didn't have a theater program in the school I went to. So it was this fun extracurricular thing that I got to do. And it's where I felt like my people were, I just loved being around other artists, even at that age.
Yeah, well, and it's a gift. And then you really, including food, never looked back.
Mm-hmm.
And you've worked.
Yeah.
Did you do?
No,
I'm
I've been
trying
very,
to remember,
very fortunate.
Right, lots of Broadway, but how did the television thing come? That was an incredible run.
Yeah. Thank you. When I was doing the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee on Broadway, the writers David Crane and Jeffrey Cleric, who were famous for working on Mad About You and Friends, came to see Spelling Bee, and they were casting a sitcom called The Class, and I got a role on that TV show. So that's what actually brought me to Los Angeles, and it was a cast. It was a great cast, actually. Heather Goldenhirsch was in it, and Julie Halston, and Sam Harris, and Lizzie Kaplan, and Jason Ritter. It was directed by James Burrows, who directed all of Cheers and Frasier and MASH. He's an icon in the TV industry. And that show, unfortunately, only lasted 1 season, but that sort of made my mark in the TV landscape. And a few years later, they were casting Modern Family, and then I got that job. So, I was sort of swept away to Los Angeles unexpectedly. I always thought that I would be coming back to New York sooner than later. And now I've actually probably lived in Los Angeles longer than I've lived in New York, which is shocking to me.
Yeah, L.A., everyone complains, but it's a way of life that sort of becomes irresistible for a lot of people. Now, what you do about New York, you're all here now?
Yes, I have my family with me here, and we love coming to New York, and this is the first time that I've gotten to come to New York and work on a play since being a dad. So I'm figuring out, how to manage my time with that, and but I have a place here in New York that I come back to a lot. So it's nice. I truly get to live the bicoastal lifestyle, which is something I'm very grateful for.
Right. And have you changed your feelings about baseball now that you have sort of an insider's view?
It's so funny, Joan, because we got a private tour of Yankee Stadium last week, and I was happy to go. It was something I was like, well, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. But then I got there and we got to run around on the field, with the empty stands. And there's a part in the play where Mason says, I had for several minutes, I had an entire stadium entirely to myself, and that was thrilling. And that's how I felt. I felt thrilled by it, and I made me want to see a baseball game, and it made me, I definitely have a deeper respect and understanding for the people who are baseball fanatics. I had to sort of immerse myself in this world, and I'm with all these guys who love baseball, and I'm sort of having the same trajectory as my character Mason does in the play. I'm slowly falling in love with it in a really profound way.
Right. And for people, I mean, my family, my husband, a fanatic, baseball and football, it was too much. But I said, it's a team. I can understand if we were all players, but fans are incredible. And for many people, this is life-changing. And in your show,
how I feel about
Go ahead. What?
Well, I was going to say, I think about we're just talking about how great the audiences are on Broadway, and I can associate it with that. Like the people who love theater love it so deeply, and it means so much to them. And so I use that. When I'm thinking about baseball, I sometimes replace my feeling of theater with baseball, and that gives me that joy, and that's why I can go to those emotional places on stage, because I understand what it feels like to be so emotionally connected to something, because that's how I feel about theater.
And the star player, whom you're the financial manager for, during the intermission, when I got up, I love to hear what people are saying, and they were all saying, well, I think that Darren is Derek Jeter. And that was the ladies on the ladies' room line. That's what they were talking about, trying to guess who he was. Yeah. And there we go.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he certainly modeled off of a Derek Jeter type of presence in baseball for sure.
Yeah, well, and the obsession that fans have, all of it. This is quite an amazing play. And you lucked out. You're the only star who doesn't have to walk nude on the stage. So you can eat away during this.
Yes, I eat lots of pizza and cupcakes in front of my cast members, and they hate me for it.
So, and you're the cooker. Do you have the chance to bring them your homemade things?
They keep asking me to bring them in something to eat, and I haven't had time yet, but I will do that for them, yes.
Well, I wish you the longest run. It's a wonderful Broadway experience. Take me out. It's at the Helen Hayes Theater. And, boy, when I saw it, it was packed. It was a sold-out house, which is very exciting. And Broadway is the heart of New York, so take advantage. It will make you feel so good. And we all need to feel good. I thank you. I wish you congratulations. Enjoy your family. All the best. Jesse Tyler Ferguson.
Thank you, Joan.
Anytime,
Thank
Jesse.
you.
I'm Joan Hamburg, and you're listening to WABC.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ARTS. Just go to Indeed.com/ARTS right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.